still do 7 NUFC Matters shows for free a week. But if you want to support the channel, there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast or video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications option. Hit the thanks button to buy a super sticker. You can do this on the live chat too. You can also join our Patreon page or buy us a coffee at the link in all of our video descriptions below. We are also looking for sponsors. If you want our latest advertising rates and how you can get involved, then email John at nufcmatters1892@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.
Critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. It feels alright when they come and say to you,
good evening, welcome along to NUFC Matters. It is the three Amigos on Thursday night. Welcome to Mitch, to Steve, to George, who had half a head there for a second. But I think you would adjust your screen, George. He's late in, you see. He's late in. There's his finger. But yes, welcome along to the first-time viewers of a Malverno live strap-in, says Dave. Yeah, we have been out for a meal with Stu today, but pleased to say I drank rosé. Steve did have a couple of glasses of Malverno. Stu had a bottle and a half to himself, but it was quite a sensible discussion today. And of course, we got the notification on my phones, as I'm sure most of you did, when the news broke at Newcastle United's website that we have confirmed that there is going to be a new training ground. Newcastle United have completed an agreement to purchase the Woolsington Hall estate, which I think was mentioned on this show 5 years ago, as the site for a new world-class training complex. The agreement follows a meticulous process to identify and secure a viable site, which is situated within the Newcastle city boundary and provides outstanding links to Newcastle International Airport and existing public transport network. The club will acquire 260 acres of land to the south of the airport, which includes a derelict listed country house and parkland. And subject to planning permission, that's the key word, I guess, in all of this, the site will be carefully restored alongside the introduction of new elite performance facilities for the men's first team and academy in a scheme totalling £190 million, pretty much the equivalent of the 3 players were sold this summer. A formal planning application is expected to be submitted in early 2027. That was a joke. Don't start biting in the chat. A formal planning application is expected to be submitted in early 2027 with a view to the men's first team moving in for the 29-30 season. The master plan for Woolsington Hall will also retain the flexibility to integrate bespoke women and girls facilities. This phased approach ensures investment is both immediate and sustainable. The club is committed to delivering the project sustainably and responsibly and will work closely with the local community and local authorities as plans develop. The project represents a significant long-term investment into the club's future by its owners PIF and RB Sport and Media. Another key part of this statement for me. And Woolsington Hall was previously purchased in 1994 by Newcastle United's former owner and chairman Sir John Hall, who had a vision for the estate to become a club academy facility. That vision has been revolutionised under Newcastle United's current owners, with an elite integrated performance environment to be created to deliver sustainable on-pitch success. There was a couple of quotes in there as well. Brad Miller, of course, who was announced at Newcastle United as the chief operating officer, of course. Heard very little from him, and why should we? He said this is a homecoming for Newcastle United, given Sir John Hall's initial vision for the site in the 1990s. Woolsington Hall will be a magnificent location for our new training complex, so we're delighted to have finalised our agreement to acquire the land. We are finalising hugely exciting plans for the estate, which include renovating and enhancing listed structures, and parkland and retaining them as key elements in our design. Our aim is to carefully and thoughtfully develop world-class facilities for our players and staff, while bringing out the beauty of the location and preserving it for generations to come. David Hopkinson said this is a landmark moment for Newcastle United. Again, reiterating, subject to planning permission, but our proposed performance complex will create the world's best performance environment for our teams. We'll develop purpose-built facilities that are geared towards developing sustainable success in the future, where players, coaches and staff can perform at their very best. A detailed planning application is expected to be finalised and submitted to Newcastle City Council in early 2027. Future plans for the club's relevant current sites will also be communicated at the appropriate time. So I felt it was only right to read that out, because a lot of people who tune in probably haven't had a time to read it or see it, and so, to some people it will be some news. Mitch, we spoke about this 5 years ago on here. I can't pinpoint the podcast, but it was certainly mentioned on here on more than one occasion that Woolsington was the potential site. So we have been proved right. It took a while for it to officially come out and be confirmed, but there it is in black and white, an £190 million investment from PIF, who some people feel
who've lost interest.
Who've lost interest, yeah. So yeah, look, this won't stop the negativity about players. This won't stop the negativity about the shitstorm that we're about to enter with regards to Newcastle United's first team season this season, because it could be, but it does prove that PIF are still 150% committed or 190% committed into this football club.
It doesn't stop the negativity with all sorts of things. Even the replies to that announcement about an AI mock-up of something that hasn't even got a planning permission yet. Well, that looks shit. It's like, God.
We'll ask you about the watch later.
What is what? Oh, don't even get me there about the bloody watch later. Jesus. I just feel that there's a wonderful synergy about coming up to a weekend where we're going to be talking about Kevin Keegan, to have an announcement about the training ground, which we said last week even, what an easy win. If it's not tied in with the ground, it's an easy win, and if you can announce it, announce it. That it's Woolsington, it's the ties to John Hall. The same weekend we're going to be talking about Kevin Keegan, and doesn't that feel appropriate? There's something written in that, or at the very least, somebody's seen an opportunity to make that announcement, and the timing for once feels very, very good. The subtle thing in there is all about the planning permission now. The one I've said all along, I never have an issue with PIF and the owners and their intentions for the club and what they want to do. I have a more of an issue with the fact that we've got to work with the council, and I don't always think they are the easiest to work with and necessarily be they could be the problem in the problem part in the mechanics. I'm trying to be polite. So I find it interesting. It's almost like a power play to make this announcement now, and everything is, the caveat is subject to planning permission. Over to you, Newcastle City Council. Over to you. And so, and I think that's a great move, personally, because there's a vision there. I think the timing is great to remind people that, they're talking 190 million, which is like almost 2/3, with sort of just over 2/3 what they paid for the club. That's not an insignificant investment. And while we have got concerns about the sudden change of direction this summer and certain things that are happening, God, if we could end the week with an announcement of a signing to bolster that squad, even if that signing cannot be put into the team for Liverpool at the weekend, What a crazy week that would be. But it just feels, there just feels something right about this. And I think also, as people are saying, you know, in terms of revenue, sponsorship opportunities, we've got a potential timeline there as well. All ties in really, really so well. And I think this is the buoyancy going into the weekend, opening week of the season with an announcement like this. I really think that's a smart move on the part of the club.
Okay, Steve. Big announcement. This. We were sitting having our lunch this afternoon when it dropped, and you read it out to us all. What's your take on this, Steve?
It's an interesting one. I'm just glad we got in there early, Steve, and nabbed the gates when they were under all those hay bales back in the day.
If you want to see the gates, you just need to go to Barrack Road. We've got them placed outside the ground under Mike Ashley's era. Thanks,
exactly.
Steve.
And where were they? They were in Woolsington Hall under a load of hay bales. And so John Hall opened up and got their forklift truck and lifted them up. And yourself and myself and Graham Cansdale and the lads from the original Magpie group were there. And we knew then that Sir John always had aspirations to have a training ground there. He told us what his aspirations were. He said he would keep plugging away with it. He's obviously got his wish. He's obviously been very, very good. I suspect it's not him. I suspect it's the grandchildren and the rest of the family who now run his company, who have pushed this deal forward. And Newcastle United have looked at it and thought, yeah, it's a perfect place. All the plans were already there, let's face it, in terms of what could be done. What they've been able to do is modernise it and rejuvenate it and bring it up into sort of, 30 years later, this is what it can be. It's a great move, an absolute great move. You're right, Mitch. It's the cynics among us would turn around and say perfect timing. The synergy of Keegan and what's coming. The caveat is always going to be the planning permission. We know that there's a little section which people haven't sort of mentioned, I don't think, for housing, private housing in the top corner. My belief is that is housing that may well be used by players and by staff at the football club. It was always the ambition that there would be like sort of almost a gated community, that players could, the club could offer to houses to players to live in when they first arrived, let them settle in, be close to the training ground, then they could do their own thing. Which, again, that's very much a sort of a continental way of going about things. So I'm not surprised that that's there as part of the plan. Planning permission wise, we've got to remember we've got a home council at the moment, or virtually a home council. It's run by the Lib Dems. The Greens are very, very sort of proactive in terms of where their situation is. But I think the strength of feeling would be that any political party that stepped in the way of Newcastle United would be on a hiding to nothing. We'll be putting the head above that parapet that we always tell people not to do. So, if you want to go down that path, feel free. But I think you would be would be political suicide for any political party that tried to go against in terms of the Newcastle United fan base. Astute move, good move. 2029, 2030, perfect timing. Falls in line with David Hopkinson's plan for by then we'll be in the Champions League and we'll be absolutely flying and we'll be one of the top clubs in the league. There's also another little caveat that we should remember is that Dorsley Park is a nice little bit of real estate, and maybe there's some income that will come back to the football club when eventually Dorsley Park is sold off. Maybe we could sell it to a Saudi Arabian football club and they could use it in the winter to train, and we could charge them £300 or £400 million for it and bring some income in, do a Chelsea, be clever. I'm being facetious here, obviously, but no, I mean it's great.
No, but I tell you what, Steve, though, amongst that though, things you could pick out of that is correct. And that, even with the shirt front deal with Knox, we're showing that we're being a bit cleverer.
Yeah.
We've asked them to be a bit cleverer. We've asked them to say, look, how can Chelsea get away with doing this? How can Spurs get away with doing that? We've got to find ways to not just be bigger, but to be smarter.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think you're right. I mean, what you say about the housing complex at the new ground, I've already had a couple of comments from some of the international fans who've seen stuff, Simon in San Diego in particular, saying the mock-up already has a look of an AC Milan training ground to it. I don't think that's a coincidence.
No, absolutely not. And you know what, Mitch? The other aspect is that you could probably, doing a Chelsea or doing a Spurs or whatever you want to call it, you could probably cream off a certain amount of that 190 million and claim that it's viable land that people would want to live on, a viable property, and make a kiln on it. Write off 50, 60, 70 million on it. I'm being facetious, as I say. I don't know the exact figures, but we've got to be cleverer. You're right. We've got to play the game that the clubs are playing, and we can't have certain press people who will always stand up for those football clubs who will stand against us, because let's face it, it is now a them and us scenario, them and us situation that we're in. And you just have to look at the way that Dan Rowan spent half an hour in front of Masters, and you just go, Patsy, absolutely shocking. Didn't have a supplementary question for anything that the guy said. And this is what we're up against, and we've got to fight back. And hopefully, this is the first stage of fighting back. The next stage will be a new football ground, or an extension of St James's Park, but the club's moving in the right direction in that respect. We've just got to sort of calm our chickens a little bit when it comes to Sunday and be a little bit more reserved, I think, in what's going to happen. I've been out for 4 hours with Steve and Stewie, and so my heart's still pounding at the thought of where we could be on 6 o'clock on Sunday, because we've had a variety of scenarios that we've thrown across the table. But
as long as the pair of you don't start asking repeatedly what the best thing about supporting Newcastle United is, I think we're going to be all right this evening.
So, George, I guess the worst thing about the news announcement today about the training ground is you'll not be able to see when the lights go on anymore.
No, that's right. However, I'll be able to tell you what's happening to Darsley Park. And it's well prepared, isn't it? Because the club got... I'll maybe word this carefully. The club helped the FA to move on from there, so they haven't got any tenants there anymore. It is all theirs. So there's nothing rented out like it was before. So it makes that an easy deal when they decide to do something with it. And I've no doubt the developers that built on the little bit that Ashley let them have before he left will be rubbing their hands at the idea of getting hold of more of that land to complete the estate, if you like, and take it all the way down to join the estate I live in, because that's happening before my eyes. I mean, if Neil was to come home tomorrow, he wouldn't recognise the place. I mean, for 40 years, I've had a field full of horses out my front window. I've now got a field full of houses, all the way down to the Powder Monkey and beyond. So, and that's all, happening overnight sort of thing. So the people that built those houses are rubbing their hands when they see Darsley Park going on. And in terms of the training ground, well, the issue for me has always been, I find it, I suppose it's my age, a little bit tiresome. Every time somebody wants to carp about PIF, no training ground, no St James's Park, no this, no that. Well, in St James's Park, we can't go anywhere till 28 because we're in the bloody European things. So nobody's going to go dig spades in St James's Park till that's over. And as regards the training ground, well, yeah, we need a training ground, but a massive complex like that's not going to happen overnight. Even if we sign the deal today, it's going to take, well, you've heard it, it's going to take a little 20, 30 for that, let alone anything else that's happening. But the big warnings that you lads have already picked up, it does show determination and loyalty to the project by PIF. You can't ask for more than that. As Neil rightly said, 2/3 of what it cost them to buy the whole bloody club 5 years ago, and it's going into a training ground. So it's all absolutely positive, good news as far as I'm concerned, and can't wait to see these things happen. And yes, I've no doubt that John Hall's family that run his business now were tough negotiators, but so they should be. I mean, that's what they're supposed to be there for. And I don't think anybody that's anything to do with Newcastle United as supporters would begrudge John Hall anything out of that after what he set in motion all those years ago to get rid of to get the club moving in a different direction. So yeah, great news. And as regards the planning permission, I've no doubt there are still those within the council who are anti-Saudi for whatever reasons they want to bring them out, and will voice them, I'm certain. But it's a dangerous path to tread down, especially when a council's in the state that they're in. No money, very little support. They need to be very careful indeed. And it would be a brave man who would stick their head above that political parapet just to make a name for themselves, because the only name they'd make them for themselves is out the door. Great news. Great way for the weekend to begin, and get off to a good start.
Okay, lots of comments coming in. Thanks for everybody who is contributing to the chat. I've also stuck the link in. I've had a couple of emails today asking what is the link for the football prediction. There we go. There it is. The NUFC Matters Prediction League take on us each week. Some of the lads have filled in 3 results, but we're going to do it week by week. Every Newcastle match, we'll call the score. You just got to predict against us. It's as simple as that. It's just for fun. I'm pretty sure we'll hit 300 by the time the show finishes today. But nufcmatterspodcast.footballscoreline.com. The link's in the chat on YouTube. Jump onto the chat on YouTube. You'll see it pinned at the top. Click on that. Send your email. That's it. Job's a good one, and you can play a part in it this year, and we'll have some fun with that. We'll have a laugh with it. Looking forward to it anyway. Okay, I had an email from John, and this was just with regards to the professionals, Mitch, and it's a quick answer. I got the answer off Steve today over dinner. He said, Mitch was talking about Knox sponsorship and the money trail, etc. I think they are a South African company. Is the money trail the same for the BRICS economy countries? Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa? I don't think it is. Regards, JF.
No. Nothing word.
That was exactly what Steve said. So you were right, John. You were right. Thanks for your email, mate. Always good to get emails from new people. We've got a very interesting email here. Now, I've got to pick the right one. Here it is. The guy doesn't want us to mention his surname, but he's called Neil. Not Neil Mitchell. And it's a great email, so I'll read the whole thing. Hi Steve, I'm writing this so you and the lads at NUFC Matters can possibly discuss on the Three Amigos show. If so, could you just use my first name? First part done, Neil. As my email title suggests, football, what is the point? Is anyone else tired of football right now? As a fan of any club outside the Premier League Cartel 6, why should we bother with it? Maybe it could just be me, as I've become tired of the following: season tickets, match day ticket, club merchandise, price rises. For what exactly? Watching your best players in the squad, getting picked off, decimated every summer by the Cartel 6 because we can't offer them better wages, because we're hamstrung by PSR, SCR. This doesn't just apply to NUFC. Just look at Aston Villa being decimated this summer, just for trying to compete. Hardly any regular 3 o'clock Saturday kickoffs because of TV demands, yet being constantly told we're not a big draw. Rubbish 12 noon TV and 5:30 PM afternoon kickoff times. I'm tired of journalists and ex-players at Big Six clubs all over TV and radio telling us regularly that we should know our place. that were just wanting sugar daddies spending like Chelsea or Man City did, when all we really want in reality is to be allowed to compete on an even playing field. They keep telling us to grow our revenue as the club accounts show we are. However, we get sponsorship restrictions due to MFV rules. We can't move into a new stadium or renovate St James's Park quickly to grow this revenue, as we don't have a Wembley to move to a few miles down the road while the work is being carried out. Spurs springs to mind here. Or hold weekly Beyonce, Coldplay, Oasis concerts, NFL events, because the stadium's not built to support it. Or have hotels to sell it to ourselves, like Chelsea, to circumvent the rules. So again, hamstrung. It's like banging your head against the brick wall, listening to them all at every time. It's taken even the likes of Simon Jordan this week to state the current financial rules are ridiculous, and we all know he isn't the biggest fan of our club's ownership. Tired of the likes of Fabrizio Romano and other so-called journalists doing agents, clubs bidding for them, and unsettling players weeks, months before the players eventually move to one of the so-called Big Six. I'll put the term allegedly in here so your channel doesn't get into legal bother. I'm tired of African, USA fan accounts that follow the Big Six on social media platform baiting us constantly, telling the likes of ourselves that Villa is there is a food chain. Also that the league is nothing without them, as their darling top six bring in the most worldwide TV revenue. The players have gone to their so-called better, more successful clubs, whilst they know fine well that those clubs can offer double or treble the wages or location, which is why they've moved. For example, Isak, Bruno, Tonali, etc. So in effect, we can't build a more competitive team season on season. I'm tired of UEFA fines for the likes of ourselves, Villa, etc., for trying to build squads to help us compete in our domestic league and also their competitions. The coefficient rankings are a joke as well. How can we earn less prize money than, say, Spurs or Man United, even though we get further in the Champions League competition on a given season? So whichever way you turn, you effectively are financially screwed. I'll always support any players or manager that walk through the door at our club. However, this summer, it's tinged with a sadness that as it stands, we'll not see the younger players like Sean Stir or Toure, etc. play for us in their prime years, as they too will be sold on in a season or two should they develop well, and not because we necessarily want to sell them, more so because of the financial constraints put in place, and one of the current cartel top six clubs fancy them too. I will, however, as like thousands of other fans, take my place at St James's Park on Sunday against Liverpool, hoping we win. I'll be thrilled if we do, whilst deep down being aware that sinking feeling of reality will eventually kick in, knowing that all we can do now is give the likes of Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, etc. a bloody nose by taking 3 points off them, as ourselves, Villa, Leeds, Everton, etc. are further away than ever for genuinely competing to win the Premier League itself. That dream is fast fading away for us all as every season ticks on. So again, the question arises as to what is the point of football anymore, as I struggle to try and find any positive answers anymore apart from seeing your mates on a match day. Sorry for the long email, I just wanted to know how yourself or the lads on your show feel, and do they have anything positive they can really relay or add for a long-standing fan supporter that's considering giving it all up together as it stands right now, as I'm fastly falling out of love for the game of football. Regards, Neil. Neil, thanks for your email. And look, for me personally, mate, before I hand over to Mitch, I agree with you, and I think we talk about this quite a lot on here. About the game changing. I think we all accept we're all getting older. Football changes. There's a new breed of football supporters coming through now, and the game's changing. And lots of things aren't changing for the better. So I agree with you 100%, Neil, and thanks for your email. And there's nothing you can do. You stay and pay your money and go and watch the team and support the team, or you find something less boring to do instead. Mitch?
I think that email summed up every concern that we've batted around publicly and privately for the last 2 or 3 years. That will have come to me within the Dubai mags of late with, similar concerns and similar discussions. I'll chuck you another one in while we're on. As a 50-year-old male of a certain demographic, I feel less and less wanted by my club and less wanted by the game. I feel like we're a demographic that they'd like to forget about for one reason or another. Certainly feel less valued. And yet the end of that email also brings it back to where it began for me. It's the weekend with your mates. It's the bringing everybody together. For me, now being an expat and doing what we've done with the Dubai Mags this year, to have not just a bar that once were there as a group, to literally be given our own room, to literally be given effectively our own bar, to name and decorate for me, there's been a real fillip at a time when we've really needed it over here to get numbers back up, to get people back interested again, because last season it dropped off terribly towards the end of the season because of all of those reasons and more. It's, for me, that was where I was in the 80s. You'd go to the match with your mates, you'd have a great weekend. The 90 minutes of football may spoil that weekend. You get the odd opportunity to bloody the nose of the great and the good. No, Mitch is wearing something brand new from Fred Perry that's been on a bloody hanger all bloody day, and I'm trying to get rid of it. You get the opportunity cut every other weekend to bloody the nose of the great and the good. And it feels really good when you do. It feels really good when you stick two fingers up to the man. And it's kind of where we're going back to at the minute a little bit. That's where I'm taking my solace. If anybody in football can't see in front of their own eyes what's going on, you know, you're looking at like Arsenal now. Have they wrapped the deal for Concert up now?
Virtually, yeah.
You know, dear me, that's that. Wow. You know, if you can't see that there's something wrong with that, if you can't see within the game that there's something terribly skewed, despite the propaganda piece that Masters was allowed to put out by Dan Roan the other day, then there's something terribly wrong with you. Like Neil, I'm also tired of being told by accounts in Ireland and Nigeria and America what I should and shouldn't think about soccer. Come back and have a discussion when you've got an opinion that's worth it. The paper it's written on. I can, thankfully, I'm quite good at switching off to that shit. So where I'm going back to was that point in time when it was about standing on the terraces, shoulder to shoulder, ironically, with your mates, and not giving a fuck about the bigger picture, worrying about that 90 minutes and supporting the lads and shouting them in and getting the opportunity to bloody the nose and the great and the good. The bigger politics stuff, we never have really had much control over. They've shown by rules and modifications of rules that, you know, the six have been able to pull the drawbridge up. One wonders, though, with the investment in Liverpool, because those people investing in Liverpool can't really do much other than invest in Liverpool. And so when they want to spend some money, let's see how the rules get amended then. And that might be an opportunity for us to then start to drive a coach and horses through. But until that time, I totally get where Neil's coming from with that email. It's very well written. It covers so much that, like I said, that we've discussed privately and publicly for the last couple of years and more. And that other people have come to me both via social media or personally over here. And yeah, I feel blessed to support Newcastle United. English by birth, Geordie by the grace of God, and all of that. I think that's where I'm headed back to. That's where I'll take my peace and solace for now. I hope Yaisler and his kids can sort of give us some of those moments this season where we do bloody the noses and stick two fingers up to the man and do it in spite of everything.
Steve, interesting email from Neil.
Absolutely, and I think you hit the nail on the head for many of us and for many people who are watching. I think he absolutely nailed it. To be perfectly honest, I think that we look back at some of our friends who no longer go, some of the lads that we've known who went for years and years and lost interest during the Ashley years. I think one of the advantages we've got as Newcastle fans is certainly I feel as though we've been up against that 8-ball since 2008 when Keegan left. We thought we were going to have be able to generate that winning mentality and have some good times. And we seem to have been sort of really, really fighting and railing against, or have people railing against us ever since then. Whether it's been the owners, then the relegations, and then the promotions and relegations again. I could describe it as a roller coaster. It hasn't been that. It's been a bind at times, but we've always stuck in. But now we could put all that down to events on the football pitch, events of our own making, events of our own owners making in terms of not investing in our football club ourselves. Now, when we want to invest, we're not being allowed to invest. We're being stopped by the authorities. We're being stopped by other football clubs. And if ever I wanted to hear from Yasser Al-Rumayyan, it wouldn't be while he's sitting at FIFA headquarters or at a World Cup with Aramco blazoned all around the stadium and standing there and presenting somebody with a fair play trophy or a golden boot trophy or whatever it was, or being at a Champions League final and again seeing Aramco blazed all over the place. I want to see Al-Rumayyan standing at FIFA, or more importantly, UEFA headquarters and at the Premier League, and railing against what's happened to his own football club. That's what I want. I want to see our football club grow something. I want to see them go up our balls and go out there and fight. People are saying, "Oh, them are the rules. That's the rules. We've got to work within them." No, rules are there to be broken. Rules are there to be smashed. All the other clubs have smashed the rules. They've invented rules, new rules to stifle us and stifle other football clubs and to keep the status quo and to keep themselves at the top. And it's wrong. But we've got someone like Richard Masters who's just kowtowing to it, and he's the patsy. The other people are patsies. The reporters who will stand alongside him and listen to him and just accept whatever he says. Nobody queried him. Dan Rowan didn't query a single word he said.
No.
He didn't turn around and say anything about some of the statements he came out with. It's good. It's good for the game. The game is flourishing. Well, Newcastle have had a little bit of success. Is that all we're allowed? Villa, a little bit of success. They've proved it. The success being that we've managed to scrape into the Champions League twice in 4 years, and similarly with Villa. And they've had some success in Europe. But by the way, that success in Europe they've had, we're going to kill that now, because what we're going to do is we're going to force them to sell Concert to Arsenal, and we're going to force them to sell players to Man United, and so on and so forth. And it's wrong. And nobody turned around and go, Dan, why didn't you turn around and say, why have Newcastle had to sell Tonali? Why have Newcastle had to sell Gordon? Why have they had to do that? Why are you restricting them? He didn't do that. And he didn't. He let him loose. He gave him a free rein to just spout what is the politics of the top six, and that for me is wrong. And that if I have one criticism of my football club, it's that my owner, my chairman, my CEO are not fighting my corner, are not fighting my club's corner. My CEO is going and making statements to the Premier League, to the football world, and to us fans saying that he admires what Man United have done. He admires what Liverpool have done. He admires what Chelsea and Man City and Tottenham are doing. He admires them, and he wants to be like them. Well, no. What part of that is he looking at? Is he looking at their success, or is he looking at the way that they've destroyed the ability of his own football club to reach the pinnacle that they're already at, purely because they've changed the rules? That's what annoys me. That's what sticks in my throat. I will always be a Newcastle supporter. I was born a Newcastle supporter. I will die a Newcastle supporter. That makes me no different to any other Newcastle supporter. Makes me no different than Neil and what he said in that email. And I get every single word that he said in that email. I feel it. I feel annoyed. I feel upset. But I've got that passion that I want to fight back. And if anything is holding me back, it's the very fact that I don't think I've got people in my football club who are willing to fight for my cause. I think they're willing to just take it on the chin and move on. And you know what? At my age, I'm sitting there going, I don't want to be listening to the same old crap from a chairman in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. I don't want that. I thought we were on a trajectory of being able to get to where I thought we deserved to be in terms of the way our fan base has embraced our football club for all those years. And the sight of a success, the sight of a possibility, that little chink of light that came, that winning a football trophy and winning a cup and then getting into the Champions League and then thinking, you know what, we can keep going, we can keep going. In fact, to have that carpet pulled from under my feet and pulled from every other supporter's feet is absolutely sickening. And it really, really gets in my gut. And I understand exactly where Neil's going. If I say any more, they'll be libelous, so I'll cut off.
Yeah, George, interesting stuff. Great email, passionate email, and certainly got the support of everybody in the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. And mine as well. I mean, you know, as the long and the tooth one on here, I've seen it all. And life hasn't changed that much. I mean, I can remember when I was very young indeed, the one thing you didn't want at Newcastle United was to have our best players picked for England, because you knew a couple of months after they'd been picked for England, they'd be up for transfer, because the selectors were all the chairman of the various clubs, and I'm sure they used to dish it, and it was always Tottenham, Arsenal, etc., in the mix, doing all the thing. I mean, Ivor Broadus, one of our best midfielders, got suspended from playing for England because he called the selectors the Blazers, because what he said, when you seen the selectors, it was all the club chairman in England Blazers who were doing the picking. So things change a little bit in a little way. But Neil's email hits all the spots. Neil added one in his commentary. Well, I'll add another. There's another that saddens me, possibly as much as all the financial stuff. Now, there appears to be a complete lack of integrity now amongst professional footballers. It's me. I remember days when it wasn't quite like that. However, there are chinks of light occasionally. I watched the Burnley West Ham game the other day in the Championship, and they interviewed Darren Bowen before the game, the West Ham captain. And the girl said to him, "What you doing here? You could be anywhere." And he said, "Yes, I know I could, but I'm captain of this club, and I owe a duty to get it back to where it should be, in the Premiership. And I'll stay here till we're back in the Premiership." Now, there's a lad that could have gone anywhere, not just in the Championship, but possibly in the Premiership, saying, "No, this is my club, and especially as I'm captain." Now, couldn't we have done with a bit of that sort of integrity at Newcastle United recently? But there was never any chance we were going to get any. Neil, the other thing I'd say outright, Neil, is that it gets you down, even after nearly 80 years of, 80 plus years of supporting the club. The greedy little ducks ready for the match on Sunday, just the same as it always is. And so don't let it get you to the point where it gets you so you do give up, because then they've won completely. but the lads will know, and Steve Hasty will know, I'm not just following him. I've gone on since goodness knows when about this business about how corrupt the Premier League is. And if our chairman and the PIF really wanted to fight our corner, then they should go straight to the civil courts. That the agreements that have been met and used in the Premier League already, KCs rather now they are, have said that some of them are unlawful, and yet we're still using them. And they stupidly invented rules that were designed to prevent Newcastle United doing things, and then even more stupidly joined in calling them the Newcastle rules, for God's sake. They wouldn't have a leg to stand on, and yet as Steve says, we don't fight back. I think I don't know where it'll take them to fight back, because we have the ability to fight back, particularly in big sporting arena events and disputes. I mean, look at the big golf dispute between Liv and the PGA, and it spent tens of millions on lawyers for over a period of X number of years. It took Amanda Staveley and her husband 10 days to sort it all out. Why don't have a go at doing something like that for football? Because they're a mess. And I also, Neil, would say to you, if we're feeling like this, just think about the Villa fans and the Everton fans, the Forest fans, who are just waking up to it, who just realise what's being done to them. And they sooner or later, they will go alongside us and start creating a fuss. So hang on, Neil. The good times might well come back. And I'm very hopeful of that. It's hard, but it's a road that we've all been down several times, I'm sure, and a one that will go down again. But as I've just said, the greedy little duck's ready to run on Sunday, just the same as he is every football season, and I'll be banging me stick on the ground and waving me scarf in the air like everybody else. The other point to make is that where I sit in Bar 1892, there's two seats, mine and Neil's seat, together. There used to be 10 of us, all in a straight line. And why isn't there 10 of us now? Mike Ashley interfered with the way the catering was done. And we used to have a big day, a great day, all 10 of us on a Saturday. It was football day. And because I'm a teetotaler and I drove a car, I used to pick a lot of the lads up and take them for the opening of Bar 1892. We'd have our lunch, and most of the lads would have some fish and chips usually. And then the dads would have a pint, and then pint at half time. And after the match, and we'd watch the pre-match match. And at half time, we'd have a pint. And after the match, we'd watch the after-match match and have our supper. I mean, the amount of money the 10 of us used to spend on a Saturday, and what knacked it was the lads went up for their fish and chips, and they couldn't have mushy peas. And they said to the waitress, why can't we have mushy peas? She says, well, Ashley won't buy the little plastic containers for the mushy peas because they're too dear. And that was it. That was the end for 8 of them. They just disappeared. That's it. He's not getting another penny off us. And they just disappeared. So hang on, it'll come good, Neil. It'll come good. And we can swap stories about the good things when they turn for us. And I don't think I'm not in the doom and gloom corner for this season yet, and I'm not going to be. So hang on, Neil. Good email, good talking points.
I'm shrugging my shoulders, by the way, because I know what's coming on Sunday. The Bruisers are going to be back.
Yeah, David Wilkie emailed as well. Same time as Neil, doesn't know Neil, but he says, I've been thinking about this for a while, as we have so many of us. It's time for a change after seeing the business that the Cartel 6 are doing right now, taking the best players off clubs such as us and Aston Villa. Could you not look into getting the top podcasts of the other 14 clubs and some of the Football League to put around what we could do to change this? In the words of the great Keith Patterson, who helped get our club the takeover, listen to the podcast with the Geordie Journos. He said it's 2 hours long and such a good listen. The first and the biggest thing he said about anti-competition rules, which is a law in the court soon, and where took over 19 teams led by the top 6 to a meeting to see how they could hold us back. For a start, it's against competition law to do that. It's like in any sort of business against each other. You must not do so. Please listen to what he says. It makes sense what he thinks we should do. Yours, David Wilkie, Toon Army. Thanks, David. I mean, look, Keith Patterson had carte blanche on you. Look, I appreciate you dropping the Geordie Journos in there. And he did do that 2 hour show, and I did watch it. I don't usually watch other podcasts, but I did watch that one. But there was nothing new on there. Keith had been saying that on this programme all the way through. The attempted takeover, and from our perspective, we knew this all along. And Keith, he did a hell of a lot of work to help that takeover through, as we did on the opposite side of the fence to Keith with Amanda and Mirdad. So it's part of our history. We are putting a book together about it. It won't be out this year, but it will be out next year. Me and Steve have been talking about it today, and we'll put the story out there. But I get where you're coming from, but I'm not sure that anyone's up for the fight. I'm really not.
But on here, Steve, Keith even told us, and anybody that was listening at the time, how supporters could do it. Didn't need the clubs. If the supporters could get together in a particular way, they could do it themselves. They don't need the clubs to do it. The supporters could do it themselves. But the question is how you herd all those supporters together and get them persuaded together and get the money together. But I still would like to see us as a club have a go.
It'll never happen, and I'll tell you why it'll never happen. Because let's take 3 of the clubs. Let's take Brentford. Let's take Bournemouth. Let's take Brighton. 3 what I describe as small clubs. Small clubs who have come up into the Premier League and are happy to exist there. Their fans are happy to exist there. Their fans have no aspiration to be in the Champions League. They have no aspiration to win the league. They are there purely to be one of the 20. And then you could say the same about any other football club that comes up. You could say that about Ipswich Town. They have aspirations to stay in the league. All those clubs, that's where their aspirations lie, to stay in the league. So straight away, you could take 4, 5, 6 clubs plus the top 6, or the big 6 as we call them. And with that, you would never, ever get the majority that you are looking for to get a vote. You will also never get the majority of fans who are willing to stand up to the Premier League and argue their case. That's fact in my eyes. That's the way I look at it. It will never, ever happen because they are happy with their lot. It's ourselves, it's Villa, it's possibly Nottingham Forest, possibly Everton. Clubs where the fans have been there before, clubs with fans that have aspiration to break the mould. And I don't think any of those clubs that I've already mentioned have any aspiration to break the mould. And I don't think their owners do. I think the American owners of the likes of Brentford and the owners of Brighton and the owners of Bournemouth are happy with their lot. I think they're happy to be part of the group. I think they're happy that it's a steady stream. And they're happy with the TV income that comes in that keeps them going. Because the sort of TV revenue that they bring in and the model that they have adopted in terms of moving players and moving through the system suits them entirely. And I think we've seen this summer exactly what it means when you lose a star player. We are in a strange situation this season because we've lost so many star players, and now we're being driven down this mindset and this mentality of that's my lot. That's where we sit now. We are now going to have to be a football club that brings youngsters through, and we know that those youngsters will be gone in 3 years. And if the likes of a Bruno and the likes of a Tonali can go up to the top 6, then some of these youngsters that we're bringing in will do exactly the same, and the status quo will remain. And until we get enough people to rail, and I don't think we will, I think we are stuck in that maelstrom. I think we are hamstrung, and it will take a miracle, Now, is Yashla the miracle that we're looking for? Can he mould those young players, and can he get us into the top 4 this season? And if he does, and if he breaks the mould and gets us into that top 4, then I think we've got a chance. Then I think we can start reeling back. But what he's then going to have to do is he's going to have us in the top 4 the following season, and the following season, and the following season. Our CEO obviously thinks we can do that. That's his aspiration, and that's where he's coming from. But I tell you what, there's no like loading pressure on a new manager with no experience in the Premier League, with no players, or very few players within his squad that he's brought in who've got any experience in the Premier League. And this is what we're up against.
Yeah, like I keep saying, it's a huge gamble. It's a huge roll of the dice. And, you know, good luck to Newcastle. We all hope it works. We want it to work. You want to see them succeed. You want to be able to say, well done, David Hopkinson. Well done, Ross Wilson. You were right. Well done, PIF. You know, and listen, it's just a roll of a dice. We know it is. And then you could say, well, everything's a roll of a dice. But let's just see. I just think it's too many changes too quickly. And I think we'll be, I still stick by what I feel our season's going to be like this season. I've seen plenty seasons as a Newcastle fan to know what things can be like as well, though. And it could all flip round. Yeah, Mitch, David Wilkie's email was just really about, you know, the whole Keith Patterson thing again. It'll always come up. He's always held in high esteem amongst the fan base for what he did. We certainly have you know, had a great relationship with Keith throughout the takeover. But yeah, what's your feelings on you know, on trying to herd cats, which is your phrase you've used on here plenty of times, but not just cats of a black and white persuasion, cats from different clubs. I mean, gives me a headache just thinking about trying to do that.
Mate, we've talked about this on here, Steve and I in particular, in the past, particularly through the COVID years, that collective agreements always fall apart. Because self-interest always kicks in.
Yeah.
And that's the same, I think, whether you're talking about football clubs or fan bases. And you might say that you want the same thing, but then suddenly somebody says, oh, but we may get something out of this. Oh, I don't want to do that because actually we might benefit if we don't do that. And somebody will pull out at the last minute. Somebody will change tack at the last minute, and something that's collectively agreed suddenly falls apart, and that leaves everybody looking bloody stupid. Getting fans to agree on everything within a club's hard enough, but across 14 other clubs, I think that would be that would be like trying to herd the cats with cats. I mean, geez, just I don't even want to contemplate that. But that's the challenge with anything across football and across football clubs and fan bases. That self-interest always will out, and you'll get a club like, I don't know. I find it interesting to see Crystal Palace's position at the minute, because they're hurting as a result of rules they were happy to vote in to keep certain clubs in the top 6 happy, and now they're hurting because of it. So how does that feel to be the turkey that voted for Christmas? And it doesn't give me any pleasure to turn around to their fans and say, told you so. It just makes us feel quite sad that everything's wrapped up. You know, Villa and ourselves haven't always got along easily in recent years, but I think we can all see the folly of what's going on, and we're both hurting quite badly as a result of it. But yeah, what could we do to, you know, bring that together? It'd be very, very difficult. And all the hours we've spent with Keith, both, you know, away from the podcast and on podcasts, we know how complex it is to run something like that and how much it would cost. And it would need the involvement of somebody with a rather deep set of pockets. And again, something that I think would be very difficult to organise collectively.
Yeah.
It would need to become a pet project of somebody very independently wealthy. Who's out there that you could persuade to do that? I don't know.
Coming to you, George, and you have got spare time. Are you up for doing it?
For me, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you know, I know I've only got limited.
You're talking about there, Rafe.
Yeah. You know, I've only got limited legal knowledge, but even I know that this would start off as a civil thing in the civil courts. But I suspect once they get into the emails from this club to that club to Richard Masters, it would suddenly become a criminal matter, and Richard Masters would have to pack his case, in my opinion, because that's how bad it is. But the trouble is, it needs somebody to set it off. And certainly, if I had the wherewithal, I wouldn't hesitate. I would enjoy it. It would be great fun. But it needs somebody with that kind of wherewithal to stand up and have a go. And Steve put it right when he first spoke. It's a pity that nobody at Newcastle United or the PIF have the kahunas to give it a try, because that's what it needs. It needs a reaction from somebody. And I think, like a pack of cards, like a pack of dominoes, they would all fall one after the other once to see how things were going. I think some people were hoping that that's what would happen with the Manchester City files, the 115, whatever it is, that we've been waiting to see what happened. But it needs to have a go, and it's driven. Remember, folks, it isn't just affecting the Premiership now. Have a look what's happening in the Championship with English Football League. Look at some of there's ridiculous penalties are being imposed on clubs. Sheffield United this week being accused of doing a transfer or something for 38 million and in danger of losing 15 points. 15 points. Compare that to what happened to some of the big uns when they were caught with their hands in the till. It just is an absolute cesspit at the moment, and needs somebody to have a go.
Yeah, certainly does. Some good emails. Thank you very much for them. Ian Robson, thank you for your email. He says, I've got a couple of questions for the Amigos, which I can't squeeze into the comments box. Firstly, lads, has Eddie Howe broken Nick Walter-Marder? I fear a repetition of the John Dahl Thomason situation, and although the German got off to a better start of his Newcastle career, my worry is he's been psychologically damaged by his experience. Secondly, will William Asula ever acquire the necessary composure in front of goal to be a success? I attended the game on Sunday hoping to see a continuation of his end-of-season form, but I'm wondering if that was a Miggy Almiron-style purple patch. Yes, he scored, but should easily have had a hat-trick, and blazing the ball over the bar in the penalty shootout was the final straw for me. And 3, bearing in mind the first 2 questions, do we persevere with them or look to potentially move them on? The bigger question is, I suppose, is where on earth we'll find replacements. Thanks, Ian. So yeah, a lot to break down there about our strikers, Mitch. But yeah, did Nick Walter-Marder suffer under the hands of Eddie Howe? Is William Asula the next big thing, or is he a one-hit wonder? And should we persevere with them both, or should we look to getting them out of the club and getting replacements in, which is easier said than done?
Walter-Marder definitely suffered for being played deeper in midfield. I think that was just a nonsense move as far as I was concerned. Yesa, I think, will know his style better. Don't underestimate the German connection to give Walter-Marder a bit more lift. He seems to be one of Adidas's poster boys in Germany at the moment as well. And all these kind of things matter. So I think sort of sticking with him, I'd more than stick with him. There's a real, genuine player there. And I think we've got to definitely nurture his confidence a little bit and also find the role that suits him within whatever Yesler style is. With regards to Asula, I think he'll always be best as an impact player off the bench. Because as likely as he is to blaze the thing over from 2 yards, he is also to do what he did against Man U last season. He has that in him. I don't think he knows what he's going to do half the bloody time. That's a challenge. It's a challenge for the players playing with him. I also think he's one of those pieces of glue within the squad. I bet at times he's another pain in the arse, but I bet there's other times he brings something into the room, if the room's a little bit down, that the room definitely needs. And it's about the squad these days. I don't think he's a regular starter. I don't think he ever will be. But as an impact player coming off the bench, the evidence speaks for itself, in my opinion. And again, another reason why, certainly for this season, we'll roll with it again and then take it from there.
Steve, it's an interesting email about those players.
Absolutely. I'll take Asula first. I think Asula is a very, very immature 23-year-old. I think he's a lad who, if he had the bite and he had that sort of final piece to his armory, he would have been already established at a club. I think he would already be a 15, 20 goal a season man. I think he's immature. I think that's what, if anything, the new coach has to sort of beat out of him, if you like. Whether or not he has the personality for that to be taken out of him, I'm not too sure, because I don't think there's a serious side to him at times. Mitch is absolutely right. He's one of those players, on his day, he can pull out a goal like he did against Man United, but I wonder whether he can do it on a consistent basis. He's also one of those strikers. We'll probably move into the Voldemort territory here as well. He's one of those strikers who's you're not too sure whether his feet are engaged with his brain yet. It seems to be like everything's done on the hoof. Everything's done like it's not like you give the ball to Alan Shearer and you know what's going to happen. You give the ball to William Asula and you think, what's going to happen next?
But it's
a bit like that, isn't he?
Both of them are scorers of great goals, but not necessarily great goal scorers.
Exactly. That's a great way to suggest and sort of represent it. I was lucky on Saturday. I spent 20-25 minutes, well, probably a little bit longer, with one of the by 11 coaches who knew Voldemort very, very well. He'd worked with him at under 15, under 16, under 17, under 18 in Germany. He'd also worked with under 21s, and he said he's a great bloke. He's a great lad. He's probably one of the most skillful lads that he had under him across all those age groups. And he said the only thing, Nick, is nobody really knows what his best position is. And I think that's what has happened with Eddie. I think that's what happened when we bought him. We witnessed some fantastic YouTube videos of goals that he scored, picking up the ball, being able to chip a goalkeeper from 20 yards, being able to sort of dance past somebody and slot it in the bottom corner, take great penalties. But when you come to the Premier League, it's so different. It's so much faster. There's a lot of back to the goal type of thing if you're going to push him up as a centre forward. You get crowded in when you're playing as a number 10 or a midfielder that you don't get in the Bundesliga. The game is a bit more expansive, a bit slower. Suits his game. And this coach said to me, he said, if Yasla can find what we know is in him, we've got an excellent footballer. And he would be delighted if he came back and he had to work with him again. And I think that says an awful lot for Nick Voldemort. And I'm hoping that Yasla can do that, can find somewhere for him, because I agree with that coach. I think there is something special about that lad, and I think he could surprise with. I think he's also one of those people that needs a partner. He needs people around him who understand his game, and I don't think we've had the chance to find players that can blend with him, play off him. The ideal would have been Peter Beardsley, because Peter Beardsley would have provided an outlet ball and an in ball to him without even thinking. But we don't have footballers like Peter Beardsley anymore that can do that. Unselfish players who are willing to make space for somebody else, feed somebody in, the game is different now. Let's hope we can do that with Nick. Let's hope we can find him. I think it's a bit harsh to say that Eddie destroyed him or Eddie wrecked him, because for the first 2 or 3 months of the season, we were all going, what have we bought here? This bloke scored 9 goals already. It's only October. He set the world on light. He set the Premier League alight. Something happened. Something, whether other coaches very, very quickly learned how to mark him out of a game, whether defenders learned how to mark him out of a game, or whether he just lost a bit of a spark. I'm not sure, because it became a little bit too physical. Let's hope he's our player. So, unless something happens in the next fortnight, we've got him at least January, if not until next summer. So we've got to get behind the lad. We've got to support him, and hopefully we get the best out of him. I'd rather we got the best out of him than somebody else. That's my thinking of it. It's that conundrum. He's our player. We've got to get behind him, and I suppose it's exactly the same with Will Osula. Let's hope that Will can mature this season. Maybe this is his maturity season, and we can see a player, and he does perform, and he does get the 20 goals. And maybe him and Valdemar could set up a great partnership, or maybe him and Wissa could set up a great partnership, or the three of them could do something very, very special. This is the hope. This is the anticipation, the hope. It's not necessarily the expectation, but it's the desire. That's what I'm hoping we can get from the new coach, and it's a new start for all the players. I think once we've got rid of the top stars, and we've got all these youngsters, I think this is a great opportunity for certain people to step up and step to the mark and show us and surprise us. It will be a surprise, by the way, for me, if some of them do it. But it'll be a wonderfully pleasant surprise. And I'm going into Sunday, and I'm just waiting for the bruises off George.
George, the two players, Valdemar and Osula, can we get the best out of them this season? Did Eddie have anything to do with it?
I'd like to think we could. Will Osula first. When they were away in Spain training, the number of times I watched the videos they released, it was very entertaining and very instructive. And 3 of them were videos of Jaisler with Will Osula on their own. And you didn't need the sound to be told that what Jaisler was trying to show Will Osula is how you run off the shoulder of your defender. You could see what he was trying to get him to do. Now, if he's putting all that energy into helping Will Osula, let's hope that some of it is payback in the way he repays it on the pitch. But I've got to say, if he doesn't, you can't have too many chances. He's had as many chances as he's going to get. What we need is goals like the one against Manchester United on a consistent basis, not just flash in the pan. So, and I hope it works for Will Osula, because Neil's right. There is something about him in the group that he's a bit of glue somehow. That people go towards him and they rough his hair and do all the daft things that they do. But you need people like that in the dressing room occasionally. Nick Valdemar, oh gosh. Steve's right. The first couple of months, 3 months, thought we had a world beater. And he did some things then, and occasionally he does now, that very few people in our team could do. Outside of the foot passes, both left and right foot, cushion passes that allowed Barnes to blast goals into the Gallagher goal, headed passes to allow others to score goals, and then doing his own thing and scoring his own goals with feet and head. So that disappeared is quite sad. But I don't think, in my opinion, it's any coincidence that it all disappeared completely when he was they were trying to make him play as a deep midfielder. That's not what Nick Valdemar is at all, and never will be. I mean, the closest I come to Nick Valdemar is, and some of you won't even know what I'm talking about, is Don Revy's deep number 9. Is Nick Valdemar for me. That's the closest you'll get in football that I've seen. but it will take a good coach, and I think we actually have a very good coach at the moment to get that out of them. And I think Neil's also right. Don't underestimate the German connection, because none of us know what all of this up and down and in and out and the hyper criticism of on social media has done to Nick Valdemar mentally, never mind football wise. And if he's going to get over that, then I think we've probably got the right man in the job to help him get over it. But I would love to see Nick Valdemar be a success. He has the skill. If we can bring it out of him, we'll reap the rewards. And Steve's absolutely right. He must do it for us. To want to begin anywhere else and do it somewhere else, that would be an absolute disaster. But I'm getting soft in my age, but I think in Isla we've got a guy who can do those things and pick those things out with players, and those training videos, the way he brought people in, and as I say, those particular ones where he had 1-to-1 with Will Asula were very revealing. So let's hope it all starts to come to fruition, hopefully by Sunday.
Yep, fingers crossed. Got 15 minutes left. As you know, we've been promoting it. We do have the prediction league. So the dice is gone. Sorry, Tom Dixon. The dice is gone. It's been retired. And we give our predictions now on the prediction league. So we will be talking about the match, of course. But there is the link if you want to join us. And the predictions are in there. So we will leave that till the end. We are also going to use this show because the Premier League season kicks off tomorrow, doesn't it? Tomorrow night. Just to get the lads' predictions for the season. I do this every year with Melly Bonds, the Man United fan, and I always put it on Twitter. I always screenshot it. I always keep it. I wasn't far away last year. I got Arsenal correct for the league. I got PSG for the Champions League. And I got Man City for the Carabao Cup. So this is my prediction for next season. I do think Arsenal will win the league. I think it's theirs to lose. I think Man City, despite the defeat in the Champions in the Charity Shield, I still think they will have a decent season this season. I'm still going to take them to go second. I'm going to have Liverpool as third. Man United, I think will have a decent season under Carrick, despite the fact that he hasn't been able to spend a great deal of money in the pre-season. I do fancy Man United to be a bit of a surprise package. I do agree with Neil on Chelsea. I think where my prediction here could go pear-shaped is Chelsea could be in second and Man City could be in fifth. But once I put this out there, I'm not going to change it. I think Tottenham will have a much better season, but I still don't think they'll be as great as everyone seems to think they're going to be, because they've signed a load of players. What I keep hearing Tonali described as a game changer, I think, well, I've watched him for the last couple of seasons and he's not a flipping game changer. I put Sunderland down at 16th because they're in Europe and I genuinely think they'll struggle this season. They haven't bought many players at all. They've let a couple of fringe players go, a couple of injuries, one to Xhaka. They're going to struggle, so they're going to be down there. I'm still saying 17th for Newcastle. I don't see anything at the moment that's going to change that. Of course, that could change in the first couple of months of the season, but I'm still going to go 17th. And for a change, a book in the trend of last year, I think all three promoted teams will go straight back down. I've seen nothing in Ipswich and Hull to suggest that they can stay up. Coventry, Frank Lampard is not a Premier League manager. I think that they'll struggle. So I think those three will go down. That's my prediction on the league. On the FA Cup, I think Arsenal will do the double, and I think Man United will win the Carabao Cup this year. And I did have the Champions League on there, but I think it's been cut off. Champions League, I think Arsenal will win the Champions League this year. I'm going to give Arsenal 3 trophies. I think they'll do well. So that's my prediction, Mitch. You don't have to give everything, but what's your feelings? What's your predictions this year?
To be honest with you, I haven't even thought about predictions and other teams. With everything that's been going on in Newcastle United, I'm not even giving other things a second thought, to be honest with you.
Pick what you want, though. You can say what you want. You could just say, well, you don't have to give anything. But, I mean, who do you think will win the league? I think it's
I think I'll be amazed if Arsenal, with the way they've been able to cherry pick players, if they can't go on and win the league from the position that they're in, there's something very wrong there with Arteta and what he's doing with that squad. I think behind that, I think they're being far too generous to Tottenham Hotspur. I think they're giving far too much credit to De Zerbi, who seems to cast chaos everywhere he goes. And there's no amount of player signings you can make if the manager is chaos personified. So I will be surprised if Tottenham. I'll be surprised if De Zerbi's still there at Christmas and Tottenham make the top 10. There's one thing I would say. I think you're right about the cluster of teams behind Arsenal. I think you could take Man City, Liverpool, Man United and mix them up and put them in any order you damn well like. I don't think there'll be much in it behind Arsenal. Sunderland I find interesting because you're right. He's they don't seem to have strengthened. And history tells you if you don't strengthen, if you stand still, you go backwards. And they've got Europe to contend with this season. And let's be honest, something they've never done. They deserve everything they get because of the way they went about their business last season. Is this season them paying their credit card bill early? Don't know. But I can't see them being successful on all fronts the way things are looking at the moment. That said, I think, I tend to not really want to get involved too much in my next door neighbour's business because I worry more about ours. I think you're being... I'm sure you're the guy that was dressing up as the Grim Reaper at the hospital, Steve. Because honestly, you're in a right fettle this season on a right downer on it.
Hasn't even started yet, mate. But I'm just being realistic. I'm knocking around with Alan these days off the fans forum.
Those players that we've let go, those players that we've let go, put we in the position we were in last season. So can it really be much worse? And I think if we've got a little bit of a bounce and a little bit of energy going around the dressing room, I think I would like to see a little bit of experience scattered in there. I think a couple more signings would be amazing. And I certainly think we'd be above halfway.
Okay, well, there we go. That's your prediction. What's your?
I agree with you about relegated teams, though.
Yeah.
I can't see past the promoted teams going straight back down again. Put us down for the Carabao Cup again.
Oh God, mate, knocking around with Stu Wheatman, Stu Penman. Go on, then, Steve. Give us your take on this. I mean, I know I've dropped it on you today.
No, I agree with the bottom three. I just think the gulf is so big, and you've got Ipswich with a new manager in Gary O'Neill. You've got Hull, who shouldn't have come up but did, and you've got Coventry. And I to a certain extent, I agree with the Lampard scenario. I think he's just one step below where he needs to be as a top class manager. In the Cup, I'm going to go for the Carabao Cup, Nottingham Forest. I just have this feeling. I've got Glasner there, and I think Nottingham Forest could surprise a few people. And for the FA Cup, I'm going to go Liverpool. I think it's about time they won a cup. And at the top, you cannot really go past Arsenal, I suppose, given the way that they've strengthened from a position of strength. City, I think Maresca's a bit of a con man. I think they'll get caught out. I think Maresca could be one of the first managers to go, perfectly honest. I think Liverpool are the dark horses. Carrick at Man United, I'm not too sure. But the big one that I fear is Chelsea. And I think if anyone's going to push Arsenal, it'll be Chelsea. And I think I'm seeing that not just because of Xabi Alonso, but because of all of them, they're not in any other European competition, a bit like us. So I think they've got an advantage. I agree with the Tottenham scenario. I think what they've got with De Zerbi is potentially a massive headache for the new owners or for the people who are now running the football club. I think he's a hothead. I think it could all explode in their face. I think we will finish probably around about 14th, 15th, and I think if we did, that would be probably a good season, given where we are, given where the amount of young players that we've got. And my thought on that will only change if we go out and buy another striker or get another striker on loan who was playing in the Premier League, and we strengthen in our central midfield area. I think we could look at defensively and say that we're rather weak. But that's only because I'll be saying that from a position of watching Botman in the pre-season and thinking he's struggling a bit. But I think he's quality enough to be able to shake that sort of system out of him. And we spoke earlier, Steve. Where does the new lad play? Does he play left back? Does he play right back? Are we going to have Hall playing in midfield and then the new defender, Dedic, playing on the left hand side? Is he going to play the right hand side, and is Tino going to lose his place? Is Tino available to play on the left or right? Is he fit? There's a lot of conundrums. There's a lot of unknowns around Newcastle.
Eisler's ruled him out in the press conference.
Tino.
Tino, yeah, I thought he would.
And Joe Linton with an unspecified injury because he wouldn't divulge it.
It would be too early for Tino, but moving forward, we've got cover at left and right back there by two players if necessary, and I wonder whether Lewis Hall's position could be, with the bite he's got, in midfield for a period of time. So I think there's a lot of, because of the new manager, I think there's a lot of opportunities there for changes. I don't really know what formation. I've seen there people saying, he plays 4-4-2. I've heard that he plays 4-2-3-1 at times, and that's his favourite. And I'm sure that Mitch and Stu, when they get a chance to speak on the professionals, be able to put a little bit more icing on that when they can talk about what they've heard of the way that he's set up in Saudi last season. But I'm gonna say it's between Chelsea and Arsenal for the league, and you know what? I'm gonna say Chelsea.
Wow. Okay, good stuff. George, predictions. You've had a bit more time than the lads to dwell over it. Who's going to win the league? Who's going down? Where's Newcastle going to finish?
Like the rest of you, let's get rid of the bottom three, because I think you've hit the nail on the head there. I can't see them surviving at all in any shape or form. And you're right about Lampard as well. I think he's done what he's good at doing, and he'll not get any better than that, in my opinion, as well. As regards the league, well, top 5 are difficult to argue against, except like Steve, I'm there's a bit of a dark horse in Chelsea for me as well. They're suddenly they've got a squad that's very unpredictable. And can either be absolutely fantastic or very ordinary. I suspect we'll see the fantastic side a little more often this year, and they'll push Manchester City and Liverpool for the top 2 for the second place. I think Arsenal will take it, but I think Chelsea at least will give them a tough time. I don't think Liverpool's position is as rosy as people think, because they've got all sorts of problems by the sound of it. So I don't argue about that. Tottenham Hotspur, well, I'm again like the lads. I think you've been over generous with Tottenham Hotspur. If they manage the top 10, I think that'll be great. Because I don't think they will. And our neighbours, well, the lads have said it all about Europe and all the rest of it. And as for us, well, I'm still the greedy little monkey, and I'm optimistic enough to think that we'll do as equally as badly as we did last year. and to be in the top 12 and frighten somebody in the Carabao Cup.
Okay, good stuff. Thank you for that, lads. I just want to thank everybody for the support on the show. The month review came in the other day, 19 new subscribers, 1.3 million minutes watched, 94.8 thousand total views. Thank you very much to everybody. We'd never take it for granted. Much appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you.
People do know that I like these photos sent in from days gone by. Thank you for these from the old Leeser's End. Wonderful. Back in the days of Mickey Quinn and Mark McGee, these photographs, but some wonderful shots of the old Leeser's End with the fences in front and
the fences. God,
yes. Nice sunny day there. A couple on the match day as well. Greenolds was the sponsor. Gives you an idea of when this was. Look at the old Gallagher End there. Great days, them. They really were. Anyone who never got the opportunity to stand on there, you missed
It's
out.
early season because there's still some grass on the pitch.
Exactly, yeah. And there we go. Finally, the Milburn stand, as it was christened, and the old paddocks in there as well. But massive monumental changes nowadays in the ground, of course, and possibly a new ground on the way. Okay, I've got a couple of other things that we wanted to talk about before we finish. But let's just get to the question from Blue Rhythm Boy, because he did ask, Mitch, any ideas what the retro releases will be?
I've heard the same, that we're going to have training kit and possibly the denim away shirt and goalkeeper shirts from that period. If you look across Asia at the minute, the goalkeeper templates from that era are doing the rounds big time in the retro releases. So it wouldn't surprise us to see the Newcastle templates dragged out and put on sale with a retro re-release, because the generic ones, like the international ones in particular, like the German keeper one, absolutely all over Asian shirt releases at the moment.
Okay. If we get a penalty, says Stephen, on Sunday, who takes it?
George.
Well, if I couldn't do as good as them on the other night, good God, I mean to say. Youngster should go on and take it himself.
He should, shouldn't he? All right, let's look at the match before we're finished. Newcastle United, of course, back in Premier League action this weekend in what will be a very, very, very emotional day. Newcastle and Liverpool fans will be paying tribute to Kevin Keegan. War Flags are preparing a pre-game display with every place in the ground allocated a card to be held up, including the away end. It's also going to be a collection of shirts placed in the centre circle that were left at the ground, which it's going to be a very emotional day. So fans are urged to get into the ground early. Mitch mentioned it earlier, Tino Livramento is out, as is Joe Linton, not expected to be involved, but Joe Willock's availability is also in question, apparently, from the press release today. This is Matthias Jessel's first game in charge as Newcastle United boss, competitive game, and the visitors, of course, have got a new face in their dugout in the shape of Andoni Iraola. While in charge of Bournemouth, the Spaniard won 3 and drew the other 3 Premier League meetings, his sole defeat coming on penalties in last season's FA Cup meeting at the Gallagher. And since a 2-0 win under Steve McLaren in 2015, Newcastle have failed to beat Liverpool at St James's Park in 9 attempts, drawing 3 and losing the other 6. That remains our most recent Premier League victory. Since then, there have been 19 Premier League meetings, home and away. 5 have ended in draws, with the men from Anfield winning the other 14. Last season's home opener went the way of Liverpool, which was a 3-2 win, achieved via a 100-minute goal. Newcastle's starting 11, just out of interest, last season was Pope in goal, Trippier, Livramento, Byrne, Shaw, Joe Linton, Tonali, Guimaraes, Elanga, Barnes and Gordon. Wow, big changes. So, starting lineup is the final question for you tonight, lads. Who's your starting lineup? Who would you pick? I mean, the goalkeeper picks himself. What's your feelings, Mitch? What do you think he's going to go for? What kind of formation do you think he's going to go for?
Really good question, and I have absolutely zero idea. And I'm quite happy to be pleasantly surprised, stroke, significantly worried. I do think it's a good time to be playing Liverpool, though. I haven't had a great pre-season. They look like they're shipping goals. I think they've got problems at the back still. I think Van Dijk's hamstrings will already be like some sort of slow-cooked ham shanks already, because he's been trying to do everything in pre-season for them from what I've seen. With us, I don't think we've got any option other than to let youth have an opportunity, particularly if Willock and Joe Linton are out.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's raving about Stoyer, and certainly I've loved everything I've seen from him. It's a huge game to hire him into. I think it's clear that Wissa's going to play Barnes. I think Elanga will play. Ramsey, Miley, if he's fit enough, in the midfield. And then I guess Bamba, back four. I think the new lad will play it right back. Dedic, I think we'll have Hall at left back. And then I think he's got a choice between Botman and Chow alongside Byrne, if he's made Byrne club captain. However, that doesn't guarantee that Byrne will start. He hasn't had much of a pre-season, and he's gone with Chow and Botman. If that's the case, let's hope they've got all their mistakes out of their system in pre-season this year. Because, some of the things I've seen, particularly that game against Everton, I know everybody has a go at Botman for the first, but actually that was on the back of Chow making a mistake first. It was two mistakes. We can do without that against any Premier League team, let alone Liverpool. I get the feeling this season it's going to be like close to what other dealers had with his squad. The young kids and the play, and they're allowed to express themselves. And I think we'll get lots of games with lots of goals in. And I think we'll see plenty of 2-2s and 3-2s and 2-3s. And that's why I've gone with the scoreline I've already gone with in the predictor, because at the end of the day, that's how I think certainly the early part of our season is going to be like.
I mean, that's the team I think he'll go for. I still think he'll go, I think he'll go three at the back. I think he'll go with the three centre half. And I think he'll go with Didic and Hall. And I think he'll go with Ramsey. And I think he'll go with Stern. I think he'll go with Elanga, Bonds and Wissa to start with. But like everybody says, until we were saying this when we were having lunch today, until we see him pick his first team, Steve, we're not really going to have a clue what he's going to do. Tomorrow, Sunday's going to be very telling. That first selection is going to be very telling. So, yeah, what's your feelings on that starting 11?
I agree, Steve. I mean, we had a long conversation at lunchtime about this, and we mulled over every sort of possible lineup, didn't we? Is he going to go 4-2-3-1? Is he going to go 4-4-2? Is he going to go three at the back? You were very much advocating or suggesting, and you're not advocating, but suggesting that you figured three at the back was going to do, because he would have to accommodate Dan Burn. Do you play three at the back against Liverpool when they've only got Isak up front? There's all these imponderables, all these questions you have to ask. I suppose in one breath you're looking at the opposition, you're looking who you're playing at, who you're squaring up against. Can I call Areola a new manager? I suppose you can in terms of the club he's at, but vastly experienced in the Premier League. So he knows what it's all about. It's a whole new ball game for our guy, and that's why I'm just so wary of what we're going to get. I have no idea how this season is going to perform. I have no idea what we've got, what we're looking forward to, what we're going to dread. I'm looking at probably one of the most inexperienced teams potentially that we've ever started a league game in, our league season in or with. Do you go with an 18-year-old and a 20-year-old in midfield? Up front, do you go with 2 out of 3 that proved last season they couldn't score goals? Is there some change in Alanga and Wissa that suddenly going to turn them into world beaters, and they're going to start banging goals in for fun? When I watched them last season and they couldn't hit a barn door at 5 paces. Are we going to go with Barnes and putting in crosses and nobody in the middle? Are we going to rely on Barnes picking the ball up outside and taking happy-go-lucky shots that get past the keeper and sneak into the bottom corner? Or is he the super sub that Eddie Howe often thought he was, bringing him on? I literally have no idea. And I'm going to go in, and on Monday morning, I'm going to wake up and go, Christ, this guy's got something about him. Or I'm going to go, this is going to be the longest season of my life. And honestly, it's the way I feel. I just don't know. I can see the logic of playing 3 at the back.
Craig's hammering me in the chat. He doesn't play 3 at the back. He's a front foot manager. He's looking to hurt the opposite. And the problem is, like Steve says, I mean, you're relying on those players that couldn't hit a barn door last season to do exactly that. We're also relying on a back 4, which has now got an addition in Didic, who's never played in the Premier League and never played for Newcastle before. We're relying on that back 4 that conceded 85 goals to do what they didn't do last season.
Yeah, and the midfield is tight with a young lad of 18-year-old if you're going to play Stir in midfield. And Ramsey, who is not Ramsey couldn't play. If we played 4 at the back, Ramsey couldn't be one of your 2 central midfielders that sit so deep, because Ramsey, if anything, is more of one of your 3 that you would play behind a striker. And of all our midfield, Ramsey's probably the only one you could play at the number 10. You saw the other day when we played was it Sunday, where Ramsey lost the ball on the edge of the box because he was crowded out. That's not Ramsey's position for me.
Ramsey's like Willock for me, like.
Yeah, he's Willock light. At the minute, he's Willock light. And
he's much better than that, man.
He's not, man. He's not. Because we've never seen it. Because last season he didn't do much. He didn't do much at all.
I put it down to him getting injured at Leeds, and that was a bad injury at Leeds. And then he came back, and I was expecting great things. And there's been signs of it, but I'm not a. He's going to be one of the most experienced people in there. But
I know.
So I mean, if anybody wants to talk about back 3s, because the assumption is that's then a back 5. The back 3 can actually be quite an attacking formation if it releases your wing backs. And
that's what I was thinking.
And what you do with the midfield is you then have 2 marauding wide players who have carte blanche to do whatever they want. The risk you run is that those wide centre backs have got to have the mobility to cover the wide positions if people are getting in behind there, and that then relies on somebody in the midfield holding tight to drop back in when you create that back 3. That there's not many centre midfielders are good enough to do that. Maybe it's one Lewis Miley is.
Mm-hmm. It also means that potentially you have to have both central midfielders lying deep to protect a back 3.
Yes,
are now lacking so much pace. I mean, that you're looking at Botman's lost a yard and a half. Byrne never had the pace, and you're relying on Chow to hold them 2 together as the sort of central middleman. So he's not going to be pushing forward, and he's going to be the cover man. But then you've got to have those 2 midfielders sitting so deep, because your marauding wing backs are flying up the line, and you're hoping that they've got the energy to keep coming back and forward. And then it relies on how they are linking up with your 2 wide men that are going to come inside and hopefully be able to support Wissa, who's on his own up front. And for the best will in the world, Wissa's not a lone striker. He's not a bloke who can feed off. Wissa's done more playing as a deep line centre forward stroke number 10 during pre-season than he probably ever has in his life. And he relied on the young lad Tory, who we've never mentioned, who's probably been one of the most exciting players we've had in pre-season, to get down the line and put the ball in and provide him with 2 lovely tap-ins down at Valencia. Provide similar passes in Edinburgh at Murrayfield, and there was nobody on the end of them. You know, this is where the manager's really going to earn his socks, isn't it? You know, it's
mainly being my starting 11, by the way, but his fitness seems to be concerning the manager. You know, and they're worried about something that Mitch mentioned when he first brought him into the team, which was, you know, his gait, the way that he ran. He needs to be treated with kick gloves, and of course, you know, we all know what's happened since, and he just seems to be getting injury after injury. So they're taking their time with him, which is great. But that's why Miley's not in my starting 11 this weekend. I just don't think he will be. Let's bring George in anyway. George, I've had to mute you, George, because we're getting a lot of feedback. We seem, for some reason, at the end of the show, we always seem to get feedback, and it sounds very muffled from you. So that's why I've had to mute you. But yeah, what's your thoughts on the starting 11?
Well, I'll be surprised if Lewis Miley's playing, because when Yeister was talking in the post-match press conference the other day, one of the pressers said, "Oh, you'll be glad to have Lewis back," and he immediately said, "Oh, be careful. We need a fit Lewis before we do too much with Lewis." So I'd be very surprised if Lewis Miley's in the team. I agree with the lads in terms of the back three, back five, whatever where we go. Whether or not he chances the lad that's just come from Germany straight and puts him straight in the team, wouldn't be a bad thing. He's match fit. He's obviously he knows the Yeister very well, and vice versa. The other chancy thing is that after the performance in the first team the other day, does he take a risk with young Mason Miley at right back? Because he was outstanding when he played at right back. In the midfield, well, because Joe Linton's injured and other things, it's not an easy one to call. Ramsey's not going to be protecting the back, so you need to think who it might be. And I think the lads have picked it really. The question is, I mean, in all these pre-season games that we've had, have we actually seen our manager's preferred 11? I don't think we have. We've seen his preferred goalkeeper, and then after that, it's much of a muchness. And two of the younger ones that we haven't mentioned, when they get the ball and they can run at people, like Bamba and Toure, are exciting, and it just might be that energy is what we need. But up front, again, the lads hit the nail on the head. We're relying on two people who couldn't hit the proverbial for 6 months. One on the right wing who, as I keep saying, is gets lost, you know, goes into no man's land. Don't pass the ball to me because I don't bloody want it. And he's not going to, you know, let's hope he's got rid of that. Wissa can hit the net, but can he do it as a centre forward? Not sure. We've got some exciting things to see tomorrow, and we're going to learn a lot about our team. We're going to learn about our new manager. But the greedy little duck still thinks we'll win.
I think we could have a tinker man on my hands. I think he does. I don't think he knows his best 11. I don't think he's decided what his best formation is either. I'll be surprised after such a short period of time that he's anywhere near that. And I think we'll find over the next 3 or 4 games he'll be a bit of a tinker man.
Well, further to that, Steve, he's also going to be a person who will alter the game as it goes on. The team as the game goes on, not going to be stuck like Eddie was. You know, this is it, and I'm not going to change it for 60 minutes, etc. I think we'll see something different there, and if something needs changed, he'll do it very quickly, in my opinion. Yeah, but it's going to be exciting. Yeah, going to be exciting.
Definitely.
Okay, just going to finish off by letting you know what the scores prediction from the lads and me are. Mitch has gone for a 2-2 draw against Liverpool. Steve Hasty used the edit button and changed his mind after he went to the friendly against Everton. He's gone for a 1-0 win for Liverpool. I have kept my score that I predicted last week, which is a 3-1 win for Liverpool. And George, it will come as no surprise, has predicted a 3-1 win for Newcastle. There we go. Warren Barton, of course, was our guest last night. He predicted a 4-3 win for Newcastle. And Stu Penman's gone for his usual 3-1. But look, we all want Newcastle to win. That's the common denominator here. We don't want to see them fail. I hope you've enjoyed tonight's show. Tomorrow I'll be doing an Ask Steve. Haven't done one for a few weeks, so I'll be doing that in the morning at 9:30. And then on Saturday will be the Three's a Crowd lads. That'll be 9:30. And then the professionals is on Sunday at 10 in the morning for Stu, so he can get to the match. He's got a ticket for the match for this weekend, so we're doing it at 10 in the morning. So that's your the rest of your shows for the rest of the week. But Steve, George, Mitch, thanks very much, lads, and we will catch up again soon. Take care. Enjoy the match.
Cheers, everyone.
Thank you, everybody, for putting up with it.
A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. You can find them at their website, skipsandbins.com. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. Contact them at www.skipsandbins.com/contact. A big thanks to Media Arts. You can find them at their website, media-arts.co.uk. And thanks to Sports Social Podcast Network. If you want to listen to us as a podcast, you can listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast providers. If you want to support the channel, you can subscribe to the channel, you can like the video, or share to your other social media. Hit the hype button after each video finishes. If you want to join the channel as a member, then go to nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk. You can pay a one-off fee of £25, get a pen, a keyring, a badge, a beer mat, a fridge magnet, and your membership card. We've got some events coming up. Shuggy Reeve will be playing on Saturday, the 17th of October, plus support from Airstream at the Clooney. Tickets available from the Clooney's website. NUFC Matters Remembrance Day Bash takes place in aid of Age UK North Tyneside on Wednesday the 11th of November. Tickets are available from Woucher or nufcmatters.co.uk. Andy Hunt, Darren Jackson, Peter Jackson, David Kelly, Bjorn Christensen, Neil MacDonald, Liam O'Brien, Gavin Peacock, Scott Sellers and Imre Varadi in conversation with Joe Allen. Our Christmas do takes place on Friday the 4th of December at the Tyneside Irish Centre, an evening with Peter Beardsley in aid of Age UK North Tyneside. Tickets available from nufcmatters.co.uk or from Woucher. On the 29th of January 2027 at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House, a tribute to Kevin Keegan with Beardsley, Cole and Ferdinand. Tickets available from box office 0191 243 1171 or website tynetheatreandoperahouse.uk. And if you're looking for a couple of gifts, why not buy The Entertainers 1992 to 1997 Kevin Keegan's Legacy by Will Scott, or The Promoter and the Photographer 25 Years of Bringing the Stars to Tyneside by Steve Wraith and Andy Thompson. Both books available from nufcmatters.co.uk. And a big thanks to the Geordie Bakers who have now come on board as a sponsor. Wholesale Bakers, Geordie through and through since 1956.